everybody, and welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel and day 4 of the Turkey Trot Mystery Make-Along. In this video, we are going to bring it on home and finish our project. Have you guessed what it is yet? I bet that as I carry on, maybe in the next 5 minutes, you're going to be able to guess exactly what it is. By this point, you should have days 1 through 3 completed, and we will complete this project today. It will take no time at all, and there's not a whole lot of finishing, which is really one of the best parts about this particular turkey trot. I am so happy with the decision to make this project this year for the turkey trot. I hope you are as well. Okay, by now you understand how this works. Go to the link provided in the video description box right down there below. It's the same link you've been going to this whole time. Scroll down to the bottom of the post and you will see the link for this day's part of the pattern if you're following along with the free pattern. If you are following along with the ad-free PDF that you purchased, go ahead and skip over to day 4 and we can get started. So if you maybe jumped ahead and took a look, now you can really kind of get a guided tour of what we're doing. All right, let's take a look at what I have. Okay, so this is where I left you guys. This is at the end of my right side row. I've met my marker. I have 3 stitches left on the outside of the marker over here. Here is the marker on the other side, and I have 3 stitches left over there. This is exactly where I want to be. I have a total of 15 stitches. As you take a look down the bottom of the piece here, you can see that we did a join as you go method with the garter stitch. It looks really lovely. And on the inside, if you did those slip stitches like I told you, you have a nice, very even like knitted row right down there, right down the fronts or down the insides. I think it looks really good. I like it. All right, so what we want to do right now is we have the bottom of this piece done, and we want to bring the bottom over with these, but we want to decrease it all down to 1 stitch. So we're going to do that by not only working our decreases to eliminate the stitches along the side or on the body, but we're going to work decreases inside our markers as well. So we're going to go from 15 stitches down to 1 stitch. It's really quite simple to do. If you are familiar with knit 2 togethers and knit 2 togethers through the back loop, which you are by this point, you could probably follow along without any trouble, but why not let me show you? That's what we're here for, right? I have already used up almost my entire thing of yarn at this point because remember, I've made a lot of these with the yarn. So this is all of my color A I have left of my 2 balls that I bought. Just so that you guys know, with the yarn requirements for these pieces, because you are making 2, you will most likely be able to get more than 1 set of this item. You'll be able to probably make 2 sets depending on what size you're making, and you could like mix and match which one was color A and which one was color B. But for this, I'm going to keep going until hopefully I can make it to where I don't have to use in that last bit, but we will see. Alrighty, so I'm on my right side and day 4 has us begin on the wrong side. So we're going to do this really easily, and we're not going to overthink it. Essentially what's going to happen is we're going to slip this stitch just like we have been doing, and then as we come down, obviously we're going to join these 2 stitches, right? So I'm going to remove that marker when I come to it, and we're going to join those 2 stitches. So the stitch that's before the one you're getting ready to join to, these 2 right here, that's where you're going to do your decrease. So you're going to end up working your decrease inside of that 1 column of those knits. All of those decreases are going to be inside of there. And that's how you're going to follow along with the instructions. I can go ahead and remove this marker over here because I'm already over here. Why keep it in play? I can go ahead and remove it. And I will jump in, slip with my yarn in back. I'm on my wrong side just so that we're all clear here. I'm going to knit down to essentially I have 3 stitches before my marker, or if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to knit 5, 3 stitches before my marker. I'm going to knit 2 together through the back leg. I'm going to slip this off just so that I can get to this marker and remove it, and then I'll slip that back on. And then I will knit 2 together through the back leg again. See that? So I decreased 2 stitches. One decrease was to get the join as you go with the body. And then the other decrease is to start eliminating those 9 stitches between my markers. Turn my work. I don't think I'm going to make it. I think I'm going to have to add that new thing of yarn. I'm going to slip one with the yarn in front. This time I will knit 4. That brings me to 3 stitches before my gap, right? So these 2 right here, I'm going to do a knit 2 together. And then I'm going to close my gap with a purl 2 together, just like I've been doing all along. Turn my work. See, I told you, it's pretty easy. Last day of turkey trot, and we're keeping it really simple. Slip the stitch with the yarn in back, knit 3. Knit 2 together through the back leg, and knit 2 together through the back leg. Turn your work. Slip one with yarn in front, knit 2, knit 2 together, purl 2 together. Turn your work. Ooh, I don't think I'm going to make it. All right, yarn in back, slip one as if to purl, knit 1, knit 2 together through the back leg. Oh, I might make it. Knit 2 together through the back leg. Oh, it's like ultimate yarn chicken live on video. This is crazy. I think I might make it, you guys. Yarn in front, slip one. Right here, I'm going to immediately knit 2 together. And then purl 2 together. That leaves me with 3 stitches. Turn my work. I'm totally going to make this. This is amazing. I should go buy a lottery ticket. Turn my work. I'm going to slip this first one with yarn in back. I'm going to knit 2 together through the back leg. And then I'm going to pass that slip stitch over. So it's sort of like a bind off. So I grab that slip stitch, jump it up and over that 1 stitch. And then I fasten off. And there we go. That is so cool. Now, the crazy thing here is when you do this, when you fasten off, you're supposed to leave a nice long tail so that you can use it to seam the back of this together. But obviously, I don't have a very long tail. That's all right. I could just weave this in and I can use that yarn right there. Pretty cool, right? So let's see. Here is what it looks like if I put it on its side, right? Looks really 3-dimensional, and how fun. Hopefully you're just like super giddy about this. You have this cool piece. Here is the little bit of an opening right here for the back of the heel. And then we have this flap if you have buttons. You don't have the flap if you don't have buttons. Yours is going to look flush. It's going to look just like that, right? It's going to look flush. So here's what we're going to do. If you had enough yarn left over, if you weren't playing yarn chicken like me, then you're going to use this long tail and the mattress stitch with all of these slipped stitches here, and you're going to mattress stitch this together all the way up to the top. It is so easy. I'll show you how to do it. If you have the button flap, just like I do, you're going to use your tail here to seam it with mattress stitch up to the flap, right? Up to the flap. And then what I did is I continued with mattress stitch, but I left these stitches open out here, and I did the mattress stitch from here, and then I would do 1 of the slip stitches and 2 of the regular column of knit stitches over here, and it seams it together. And so then you're going to have this flap that will come over here. We're going to pick up stitches here to add a button band, and we'll add 2 buttons right here. Isn't that cool? All right, so I'm gonna show you what the sample looks like so you can kind of get an idea of what it is we're doing here and give you guys a little bit of a breather before you do this mattress stitch, because it really isn't too scary, guys, and it's just this little tiny section, so don't freak out. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you wanted to whip stitch it together, you could, but why not mattress stitch? It's really super simple. All right, so you want to see the finished sample just so you can see what we're doing? Because I've been dying to show you. Okay. Da, 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 da. Look at this. Look how cute this is. So you can tell here, obviously they look like they're different pieces because the yarn, it changes color throughout. But this is the left foot. That's why I was making the right foot over here. But this is the flap. See that? So you can see here, I just seamed the edge right up there. You can't even tell. I just put these, I don't even know what these are called. This is how crazy it is. I just put these buttons on and made, they're already a shank button, but I made a bigger shank, and I wasn't really sure if I liked these or not. So they aren't even like fully on. They're just kind of tied on. Isn't that crazy? But I like them. So I will go ahead and go back and fix it. But then when you add this little button band, it just makes this little bit of a difference. Just something fun. And you have this fun and cozy slipper. Isn't this great? The little star stitches are right down the front of your foot. It looks so cute. The sole of the foot is absolutely perfect. You see what I mean about how you could have used your color B. If you chose to use color B, the sole of your foot looks a little bit different. But it's such a neat way to make a slipper without having to work in the round, right? Okay, so hopefully this has gotten you guys excited. Let's go ahead and get this slipper finished because I am ready to take pictures of it and put it in the pattern so that way you guys can actually have pictures of this piece in your finished PDF and in your day 4 pattern. You're probably already looking at them, but I haven't done it yet. So you guys are ahead of me because I'm filming this. I mean, it's Wednesday night, so okay, I digress. Let's go. All right, so I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna go ahead and let me weave in this tail to begin with, just so that it's out of the way, okay? I've already woven in most of my other tails, I think, but I am just going to come over here and I'm going to weave in my tail along this bit here, this nice knit column of slipped stitches. So that way it doesn't get any like big and bulky at all on the bottom of my foot. I don't want that. And work great. So that's all the seaming I need to do there. And then here we go. All right. So when you do the mattress stitch, you want to have the right side of your fabric facing you. Now we have this kind of gap right here. So we're going to close this gap first. So I'm going to grab, this is so perfect that I have just this much yarn left. I'm going to grab my yarn that I will use to seam. And over here, I am going to come up, let's see, right there, there's a slip stitch. So I'm going to come up right here. I'm going to just come up here and bring up some yarn. I don't think I need all of that, so I'm going to leave that there. And then I'm going to pop over here and I'm going to come up right over here on this side. I'm coming from the back to the front. Okay, can you see that? The back to the front. And then I'm going to come back over here to the back and go up where I came in. Okay. When I do this, it's creating a figure 8. You're going to see here that I get a figure 8 join. Can you see right there? Like there's the center of the 8. So I'm going to get a figure 8 join, and I'm joining the yarn. It's going to be a nice little area there. It'll come together. All right, I'm going to zoom down so that way you can better see how I'm doing these stitches, okay? I know that most of you are like, I can't see. Let's take a peek. Okay, hopefully this works for you. All right, what we want to do, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 garter ridges over here, and you can see I have a slipped stitch, a slip stitch, a slip stitch, and a slip stitch. Over here on this side, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 garter ridges over here, but I have a slipped there, there, and the next one is up here. So my other slip stitch is really kind of right there. So what I'm going to do is I came out over here. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to come in where I came out and then pop up right above it. So it's like I'm kind of picking up the meat of the stitch right there between where it has this nice elongated V. And then I'm going to pull it through. I'm not pulling it real tight yet, okay? Because I can pull it tight here in a couple minutes. Now I'm going to come back over here, go in where I came out on this side, And again, I'm going to come up. There's my slip stitches. So it's kind of the meat over here on the other side of the V. And pull this. Okay. It's going to pull all this together. Now I come up here. This is where I came out. And again, if you're looking at the V on the side, you're coming underneath the first one and you're going to go around and come out the next one. See that? You kind of pay attention to those V's. Come over here. I'm going in the first one, coming out the next one. You can pull it together as you go. Come back over here, go back in where you came out. So I'm going underneath that V, coming around, and then coming back in underneath this V. You guys see that? I'm going to do this all the way up. So on this side, I'm going to go underneath that one and come up that one. And as you do it, you can pull them together. Should be a nice, secure seam happening. And I'm just going to keep on going. All right. In where you came out and then go up to the next V. And those are slip stitches. This is why I had all of you take all the time to slip those stitches, even though it's not something I normally do. Actually, one of the slippers I made it without the slip stitches at the start to kind of see how difficult it would be to do it without the slip stitches. And it was way more difficult than doing it with the slip stitches. So I was like, all right, I am going to make sure that I do one with slip stitches. So that was one of the samples I did. Guys, I've done so many samples. So many samples. I'll have to show all of you in another video. Okay. Let me see here what I have. If you take a peek, this is what I have so far. Okay. Comes together. Looks really nice. Okay. Now I am to the point here where my next V over here, it's actually where my bind off is for my flap. So honestly, with the seaming up underneath the flap, we are so lucky because it's going to be hidden by the flap. So don't overthink this. You could whip stitch it for all I care. Just make sure it looks nice on the right side. Okay, for me, I came out right here, so I'm just going to pop in right there. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to follow up that column of stitches. Let's see what it looks like. You can rip this out whenever, so it's not the end all and be all. This isn't like once you make the decision, you can't go back. Just kind of start going with it. If you don't like it, rip it out and start it again. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to turn this a little bit. It'll be easier for me. I'm going to go in where I came out. And then remember over here, there is one stitch for every row. Our slip stitches are one for every 2 rows. So over here, you want to make sure you pick up 2 bars. So I'm picking up 2 bars. And then over here, go in where you came out and then pop up. And then I'm going to rotate this around and just see to make sure what we're doing is hidden. See, look here. Everything looks good over here. Nothing looks abnormal, which is great. Go in where you came out, pop up 2 bars. We'll take a peek again just to make sure this is where we're going. Looks good. You can go up a knit stitch, you can go up a purl stitch, you do whatever works. Do whatever looks good. Make sure it looks good on the right side because that's the side that's going to be in the public. This side right here is not going to be public, right? This right here. I mean, honestly, guys, if you wanted to, you could come over here and just whip stitch, right? And when I say whip stitch, this is what it is. You just grab over here and then grab over here. And then grab over there and grab over there. I don't want to whip stitch, so I'm going to undo that. But you just, you know, whip it together. Whip it and whip it good. Sorry, bad jokes. Bad jokes. All right, I just want to get this. I'm going to work this all the way up to the top. You do want to make sure that you are holding the top piece together so that you don't accidentally get off track, okay? So you don't want to get off track at all. You don't want to make sure that, or you don't want one side to be shorter than the other. But it becomes pretty easy here. just joining it. Somebody might ask, well, why do I have to join it? Because I'm just using these buttons. Honestly, the buttons are more of a decoration than anything. They aren't like actual, like full-on functional buttons. Could you make them full-on functional buttons? Probably. But honestly, I wanted the cuff to be a little bit snug and way more snug than what I would get with just button closure. The button closures for me are more of a decorative. Or you can see there I haven't pulled very tight yet, okay? And what's great about the mattress stitch is you can pull it later on and it kind of zips it all together. Looks clean on that side, looks clean on this side, and I just keep on going. I'm gonna let you guys watch this as I go along because I know some of you might be like, I'm just not really sure. Guys, just believe in yourself. I believe in you. I know you can do this. I promise you can do this. This is such minimal finishing. It is nothing compared to like a sweater or anything else. So this is just little bits of finishing, not a ton. But isn't it fun? I hope you guys are excited about making these slippers because I think they're neat. I saw this particular style, this method of making slippers on a Russian YouTube channel with a Russian YouTube host, and I was just like fascinated by it. So that's when I sat down and I just decided I was going to figure out how to do my own with this shape and figure out the numbers, figure out how I wanted to make it work. And it has just been so delightful to be able to just sit and create and have fun with it. So I hope you guys really do like this. When you get to the top, make sure you get all the way to the top on both of them. Okay. And then once you get up here, make sure it's all pulled together. Look how great that looks. Great. Looks great on both sides. You can use your tail up here. You can kind of just pull this together a little bit just to make sure that it's not going to come apart when you put it on. You know what I mean? You don't want it to stretch out and come apart. So I sort of do like a figure 8 again. Can you see that? How I did a figure 8 and then I pull it snug and then weave in your tail. I mean, it's already on your needle. Weave in your tail right now. Just pop in on the inside and just do what I did before. Just kind of go down the column. You have this nice column of mattress stitch slip stitches here. So just pull them together and it will look really nice and tidy. And it's just nice to get it done and out of the way. And I only have this other tail right here that I have to weave in because I didn't have a long enough tail at the end of my heel. I love that I can finally tell you it's a heel. But this should be fine. I'm not worried about my tails coming out. I think that's just fine. Just make sure you don't have like a knot or anything. You don't want a knot. I mean, I'm a little bit not crazy about the little bit of a knot that I did back here. I probably would change that up a little bit. Like mine was kind of bulkier than I like, but try and keep things as smooth as possible as you can. Once that's done, I'm going to tuck this end in. I'm not going to worry about that. I can weave that in later. But now we actually have a slipper. You see it? Can you see? So we have the slipper. We have this piece. Okay. So if I have them like this, let me zoom out again. Okay. So if I have them like this, it looks like I made 2 right foots, right? Okay. But I did not because of the nature of the right side and wrong side, I want this flap to come this direction. Okay. You guys see that? I want it to come this direction. Now, it's obviously not very big. My goal here was to make the flap portion about half, not quite half. I didn't want it in front. I wanted it about this portion right here. So we're going to pick up and knit stitches with our color B right here and work this bit right here. And that's just for the people who are making the button band. Those of you who chose not to do buttons, yours is done unless you want to add like some leather to the sole, but yours is complete. Pretty cool, right? All right, so let me go ahead and show how to do this button band. Okay, the button band. You want to make sure that you are going to pick up and knit stitches with the wrong side of the flap facing you. So here's the flap. This is the right side of my flap. So I'm going to have the wrong side of my flap facing me. I want to pick up 15 stitches on this flap, and I want to make sure I pick up the first one up here and the last one down here. Now, if you have 15 slipped stitches here, great. You can pick up one stitch in every slipped stitch, but maybe you don't. I want to show you where you can pick up and knit a stitch between the slip stitches should you need to make one of those. So I want to show you a little trick to pick up stitches. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead, grab your size 10 circular needle or your DPN. You can use it as straights. Either way will work for this project. Make sure you leave a nice long tail for weaving in your end, and start up at the top. All right, you want to make sure that your cuff bit goes, or your button band goes all the way to the top of your piece, right? So you want to make sure you get all the way to the top and pick up and knit a stitch. Is that where I want it to be? I don't know if I want it right there or right here. I want it right here. Okay. I'm at the top, I'm picking up, and I'm knitting a stitch. I'm going to go to my next slip stitch. I inserted my needle, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Very similar to what I did on the top of the foot, right? But now let's assume that I know I don't have enough slip stitches to accommodate the 15 stitches I need. So what I need to do is I need to pick up a stitch into this little space right here between this slip stitch and this one. So what I'm going to do here, I want to try and point it out to all of you. I'm going to put my needle right, or not my tapestry needle. Can you see my finger over here is underneath that slip stitch. This yarn is underneath this slip stitch. And my tapestry needle is into that space, that sort of hole between the two. That's where I'm going to put my right hand needle and pick up a stitch. Okay. So I'm going to put my needle into that space, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So I have 3 stitches now. 4, 5, and then let's do it again. So I'm going to go between and 6, 7, 8, let's do it again, 9, 10, 11. So I have 4 more stitches to go, right? And I have 2 slip stitches. So I need to do 1 pick up there, 1 pick up there, and then 1 there and 1 there. So that's 11. I'm going to go between the 2, just like I showed you with the tapestry needle. So there's 12. This is the slip stitch. That's 13. I'm going to go between the 2. That's 14. And then here's 15. Now, what I'm not really happy with is my 15th one looks like it's a little bit too far off from my edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my 15 and 14. I'm going to come to this slip stitch and do my 14. And then I'm going to come right down here to the very edge. See, I'm at the very edge. I'm going to do my 15 down there. There you go. So now I have my button band. I'll be right down at the edge over here and the edge over here. Not so bad, right? You got this. The rest of it is just some garter stitch and some double yarn overs. We've done these before. And then working into those yarn overs. We haven't done that, so that'll be a new one for you. But it's super easy. Okay, let's turn the work. And we are now on row 1. And this is the right side. Okay, this is the right side. And on the right side, I want my yarn in back. I'm going to slip the first stitch and I'm going to knit to the end of this row. Simple so far, right? It's pretty easy to do. Just knit to the end of this row. You should have 15 stitches. This is going to be a little loose because that first stitch is going to get a little loose, but it's all right. You can weave that in later. All right. So turn your work. You're on your wrong side. Again, we're just going to do some garter stitch, but just like when we did garter stitch on the slipper, we want to make sure we end with that purl 1. Okay. So I'm going to slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 13, and then purl 1. Okay, so now I'm on the right side. I'm going to slip the first one and then knit to the end. So far so good, nothing really big and crazy here. On this next row, we're back on the wrong side and we're going to create our buttonholes. Now, I made my buttonholes large enough for those large round shank buttons. If your buttons are a little bit smaller, then you can make your buttonholes smaller by just doing 1 yarn over. Instead of working 2 stitches as a decrease, you use maybe only 1 stitch as a decrease. The other option you could do, you guys, is if you're like, I like the flap, I don't really want a buttonhole, maybe I just make this garter stitch section and I slap a couple buttons on the front just as a decoration. You could do that as well and completely bypass making holes. You have options here, but I did make buttonholes, so I'm going to show you how I did it. And like I said, I have those nice big buttons, these nice big round shank buttons. I actually have the set for this pair of slippers right here. So this is what they are. They are 3 1/4 inch or 19 millimeter, I guess is what it says, round shank buttons. And so it fits really well with the button holes that I created. So with the wrong side facing, I have my yarn in front. I have my yarn in front is what I want. I want my yarn in front, slip the stitch. You're going to knit 3. Bind off 2. So bind off 1. Remember, you have to knit 2 stitches to bind off 1, and then knit 1 more to bind off 2, leaving 1 stitch on your needle. Now it says knit 2. So I'll knit 2 stitches and then I'll bind off 2 stitches again. So I don't use these stitches here I've already used. I'm going to knit 2 stitches. So knit 1, knit 2, have the back one jump the front. That's 1 bind off. Knit 1 more, have the back jump the front, and that's 2 bind off. And I have a stitch on my needle. Now I will knit 2 and purl 1. Okay? So those 2 bind offs that I did, those 2 stitch bind offs, that's what's essentially making my buttonhole. That's how big I'm making my buttonhole. You could do 1 stitch bind offs. You could do more than just 2 sections of bind offs. You could do whatever works for you. But I thought this worked really well with the buttons I chose. It would work well with like a toggle buttons too, if that's what you wanted to do. Okay, so I've turned my work. I'm on the right side. Now I've bound off stitches here, but now I need to create 2 stitches here. So I'm going to do that by working yarn overs. So I'll slip the first stitch with the yarn in back. I will knit 3. And I'm going to yarn over my right hand needle twice. Then I will knit 3. Yarn over my right hand needle twice, and then I will knit 4. Okay, I'm back to 15 stitches here. The trick here though is when we get to those yarn overs, we are going to knit 1 yarn over through the front leg and 1 yarn over through the back leg, so that way we can get 2 stitches. So we're on our wrong side. We'll slip the first one with yarn in front, knit 3. Let me get some yarn here. We're going to knit this first one through the front leg and off. Now don't let this one fall away, because now we're going to knit this one. You see how it's just resting on your needle? You're going to knit it through the back leg and off. Okay, so that's how you're going to get 2 stitches. I'm going to show you again over here. So we're going to knit over to the other double yarn over. Here's the double yarn over. I'm going to knit through the front leg and off. So that leaves a yarn over on there again. And this one, I'm going to knit through the back leg and off. And then I will knit 3 and purl the last stitch. Back to 15 stitches. Now I just have a couple more rows and then I'll bind off. So I'm going to slip one with yarn in back, knit across all the stitches. I don't know if you guys can feel the excitement of being almost done. Can't even tell you how excited I am. This is great. Turn my work. This will be my last right side, or I'm sorry, excuse me, wrong side row. Yarn in front, slip, and then I will knit to the last stitch. Purl one. And it's at this point, I'm going to bind off all of the stitches. So I want to make sure that my bind off isn't too tight because I don't want it to cinch in on myself. But I will go ahead, I'm going to slip that first one, knit the next, have that first jump over the second, and continue on. Just like you would do any other bind off. I'm just making sure I'm not making it really tight by pulling that yarn too snug. And on the last one, cut your yarn, finish everything off. Last thing to do is to weave in your tails. Now remember, I want to make sure that I weave my tail into the wrong side, so I'm going to pop this over to the wrong side. Just going to pop it all down here. Again, this is not really going to show at all because hopefully your flap will just stay buttoned up. So I'm just weaving in like this because why not? You could bury your ends like my friend Ann Burke does. That would work as well. There's one more up here. So much fun. I'm going to bring this down here just to kind of make that nice and clean. This one, I think I'm going to essentially do duplicate stitch and weave this one in because it does show a little bit more than the other. So I'm doing the duplicate stitch following along that garter stitch. Okay, that's the button band. Last thing I need to do is add the buttons, and then let's take a look at how cute these are. Oh my gosh, I love them so very much. Look how cute these are. Oh my goodness. These are so adorable. And I know mine are like super bright and cheery and all the good things. You could make them any color you want. That's the beauty of the Chroma Bulky Twist or Chroma Twist Bulky is it has a lot of different color options for you. I chose these colors. I loved the way that the pinky purple color really was ombre and changed all the way through. I thought it would be super exciting. They look like they are like fraternal twin socks. I think it's a lot of fun. Now, once you add your buttons, or if you didn't do the buttons, the last thing you could do is add some leather to the soles. Now, you could just get some basic leather, cut out the shape of your sole, punch holes in the leather and then stitch it with the blanket stitch to the bottom of your slippers. Or I found these really great slippers, slipper suede soles from Fiber Trends, and I got them off of yarn.com, which is webs. Let me show you what they are. So right here, these things right here are super fantastic. They're from Fiber Trends. They're a suede 2-piece slipper bottom. So I have enough here for a pair of slippers. And you can see on the back here, you put the larger bit at the toe, the smaller bit right here at the back of the heel. And it already has the holes pre-punched in. Now, I could only find the light brown color. For these slippers myself, you guys, I want black. So I'm not going to add the soles to my slippers. I'm going to leave them as is. But as you know, on the supply list, it gives leather as an option for you. And it doesn't have to be real leather. It can be pleather. It's totally up to you. It could be whatever works to make your slippers not slippery on the wood. But hopefully you are super happy with your slippers. I think they are great. I think they're such a fun turkey trot project. And like I said in video 1, I needed an instant gratification, something that was going to keep my interest and not take a ton of time. These definitely hit the spot for me. I hope they hit the spot for you. And I hope you had a great time for this year's turkey trot. Okay, guys, so the fun is not over. Don't forget that we have the 24 days of quickies coming up in December. And in February, we have the game day mystery make along. That is where we do a mystery project all in one day. You have a different clue that comes out every hour or every 2 hours. It all depends on what it is we're making. So if you enjoyed this project, you will enjoy that one as well. Don't forget to share your finished samples. That way you have a chance to win some amazing prizes, you guys. And yeah, if you want to stay up to date whenever we're doing fun make-alongs like this one, be sure to sign up to the Marley Bird newsletter. We don't bombard your email box at all. We just like to give you either some fun stories, some fun coupons, some great links to wonderful patterns. It's a wonderful way to stay in touch without having to, be on top of everything all the time. All right, guys, I enjoyed spending this Thanksgiving holiday with you, and I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me. If you have some yarn left over, which you should have some yarn left over, just like any Thanksgiving meal, we always have leftovers, right? The best thing about leftovers is you get to eat them later on, right? If you enjoyed making these slippers, imagine how much more fun you're going to have making another pair. Maybe you make them for your husband, for your wife, for your grandchild, for your daughter. You guys could all have matching slippers or make them not matchy-matchy and mix them up. They are a lot of fun to do. That's it for me, everybody. I enjoyed this time with you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.